It's the day before a really important Wednesday. We have a major event tomorrow in crypto, the Shapella Upgrade. Ethereum unstaking, if everything goes well, should start to become possible tomorrow. So crypto, obviously, strong focus on that. We have CPI numbers from the US. This is something that's going to be very relevant, especially because these numbers are getting very close to the current interest rate. Again, this expectation, and then obviously that's going to be quite relevant for the Fed beginning of May. And speaking of the Fed, we have also the meeting minutes from the March, I think, 2020 meeting. And we should get a bit of some ideas in what's going to happen in Fedland at the beginning of May. On top of that, we're having an insane pump today again. So markets are up dramatically, and we're obviously going to hear from Fabio why that is. I have to say, Fabio, I was completely right with my predictions so far. You've been completely wrong. Reality is it's the exact opposite. And we're going to talk about transparency report. How was Q1 from our company perspective? Plans for Q2. And so it's going to be a nice episode. So, Fabio, tell us, why was I wrong and you were right?
I haven't seen any relevant news besides a really, really well-written article by the New York Times. This was sarcastic. They doctored with a photo and didn't even spell the place where the mining facility was right. I think they spelled it Rockland and it was Rockdale, or the other way around. I'm not even sure. But no, it was a very bad article. And some people, of course, say Bitcoin is pumping because of the article that was like very much against Bitcoin mining efforts. But no, if I would need to put something responsible for it, it was a short squeeze. We had extensive sideways actions, and the price got like compressed down to almost no volatility. And of course, when it breaks out, eventually you have a lot of people that put on some leverage or that have a lot of stop losses or in place, and it looked like a massive short squeeze. So we're slightly above 30,000. I'm not so sure if this really has legs. So if I can make a bridge into maybe the things in the market, usually historically for equities and risk on assets, April is usually very bullish. And there is a saying in the market. So in German, we have a thing we call farmers' rules. And these are like things that rhyme and old wisdom that you can translate into things in life. And you kind of have these farmer rules in markets as well. And there is one famous one that I think is going to be true for the next 3 to 6 months. And the rule says, go away in May, but remember to come back in September. And I think probably this time is go away in late April and come back in late September. I think that the period is going to be slightly extended, but I foresee maybe, another bullish week, maybe two. But I don't really have a lot of confidence for the summer months. That's just my gut, not really based on any data, just old wisdom and a gut feeling. What are your views on where this pump is coming from?
It's the same as in Q1, in my opinion. I think we're just seeing the same, more of the same. Here's a very interesting table. I'm happy to share that later on. That table to me is just absolutely mind-boggling, because, again, in all those years that stable coins have existed, we have never, and you can track this, right? We have never seen crypto pumping without stablecoin market cap going up. We've never, it just doesn't exist. And this is the table from 11th of January until 11th of April, so exactly the last 3 months. Tether went up by 12 billion. Also went up actually in the last 24 hours. USDC lost 11 billion. I don't think much surprise, lost a lot of faith. Also lost some in the last 24 hours. DAI, whatever, pretty much the same. True USD, it has gone slightly up. I don't even know what PUSD is, to be honest. Maybe that's USDP. I don't know. I have no clue what that is. Now, the one line I leave out is BUSD. And BUSD is down from year to date until today, basically by close to $9 billion, putting the entire net market cap of stablecoins to $7.1 billion. And I posted this on Twitter. It's the chart I'm going to track. As soon as this BUSD market cap drops down, like it dropped down by, I think, 150 million in the last 24 hours. USDC got canceled out with USDT. So it's 150 million. It's, I don't know. Their Twitter account, again, it's very difficult to actually see how much of that is just purely hating on Binance, how much is purely spreading FUD. I don't see why this is hating on Binance if you're saying that Binance simply is selling their BUSD. I don't see this as any FUD. To me, this is absolutely normal. I have no issue with that. But it's so difficult to know which of these accounts is actually trustworthy or not. But some of them, they overlay the trading patterns. They track all this stuff on the accounts. They kind of insinuate that there's a lot more shady stuff going on. I don't see that. I don't think that's much shady stuff. I just think Binance is selling their treasury and they cannot get into dollars. They can't get into other stable coins, so they go into Bitcoin. That's my entire thought. It's the same what we saw in Q1.
What blows me away on the topic of stablecoins is like you've been in the market since like fairly early on, like 14 or 15 or so. And if you would have told me 3, 4, 5 years ago that Tether is one of the most resilient stablecoins, like they're so resilient against
even half
everything.
a year ago, even half a year ago.
Yeah. And USDC seems to be suffering. BUSD seems to be suffering. Every other stablecoin has issue, and the one that gets the most slack and the most FUD seems to be the strongest and the most resilient. That's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah. People, and then obviously people always ask me and they say, "Do I think this rally has legs?" And the rally has legs as long as BUSD keeps getting sold into Bitcoin. And afterwards, that doesn't mean that the rally doesn't have legs afterwards. The question then is, what does whoever's selling all those BUSD, what is this person doing, right? Whether this is Binance or whoever, is this person, and we can be, I don't think there's much doubt that right now stable coins are being sold and they're being sold into crypto. I don't think there's much doubt on that. The question is just more on how sustainable is this and what are the reasons for that? Are the reasons because people are not trusting the banking system, so this banking narrative? Is it that people think there's just more liquidity and they want to get rid of the stable coins because they believe hyperinflation is coming and it makes way more sense to be in crypto? All these assumptions can be true, right? So I don't want to say that this is something people always think that when I say this, I see this on Twitter. Then afterwards, when people say, you just don't want to be wrong in your assessment that we're not going to see the 30,000 so fast. And my answer is no. I would love it. Like, I have no issue with that. I am super happy that crypto goes up. I mean, nothing better can happen. I mean, in the transparency report, you will see this. I mean, we're basically printing money in the company in Q1, but it has nothing to do with us, like as an operational system. It's just because we're in crypto, right? Everyone who is invested in crypto in Q1 was printing money, right? So all that mattered was how much did you have in crypto, and we have a significant chunk in crypto. So obviously we are up a significant chunk. So I think that's just important. So to me, it's also not something negative I'm saying there. It's not that I'm saying, oh, the market is being manipulated. Like I saw this retweet from someone, what's this crypto capo, whatever, right? I mean, where people are like, he says, markets are manipulated, and people are like retweeting this. Even if he hints at BUSD being the stuff being sold, that doesn't mean that the market is manipulated. To me, that's the reason. That why is BUSD being sold? Well, we have like a lot of assumptions and we don't know. But that doesn't mean that this is a pump and then a dump. It just means that is the reason. And at the end, you as a good investor, you always have to understand why is stuff doing what it's doing. Because if you don't know, even if the price is going up and you're invested, it just means that you're a bouncing ball and you can be on the wrong end, right? And it's just what I've seen so many times in the markets. Why have people lost so much money in 2022? It's always the same thing, because they believe in 2021 they know everything, they're always right, and suddenly they're not, right? They didn't know in 2021, they didn't know in 2022, and probably they don't know in 2023. So these are just the key things. And um, yeah, that's. I honestly, if you'd asked me at the beginning of the year, do I think we're gonna see a close to 100% pump? I would have said, hell no. And I'm super happy. I'm super impressed. But yeah, absolutely unexpected.
Yeah, same for me. The Q1 was a big surprise. I guess even for the Bears. So Sergey says here in chat, Capo is crying in bed. Yeah, probably. He tweeted out today that he still believes in lower prices. And you know what's the worst is that some small part in me is pretty sure that we're going to see another leg down. Like if you just look at 2015 or to the 2018, you have the first capitulation event, and usually like 18 months or 2 years later, there's another capitulation event in each bear market. So in 2015, there were like 18 months in between, and in 2019, I think we had a capitulation event with Christmas in 2018, slightly before Christmas, and then again in March 2020. And I could foresee something very similar here as well, that we kind of hold up pretty strong, that we even go a little bit further, so the bears completely capitulate and think the bull cycle is coming, and then the leg down. So the max pain theory here as well. So we go a little bit higher than most people feel comfortable with. And they buy into the narrative that, oh yeah, the bull market is on and we're going into the direction of new highs, just for the market to turn on them. So I'm very cautious. I try to manage my expectations here, especially for the summertime, because I just don't see anything bullish driving anything at the moment, because the macro landscape doesn't look so good. The Fed is probably going to hike. We're just
Well, how much
waiting for
BUSD is left? I mean, I just want to be very clear, right? There's what market cap? There's 7
800.
billion, 7 billion, 7 now. We're under 7. So there's 7 billion BUSD left. That's a third of the entire cap still. So whoever controls those, yeah.
Yeah, but do you see anything bullish besides that? Maybe 7 billion of BUSD converted into Bitcoin, or is there another
Yeah, I
factor
mean that
that
is
makes you?
bullish. I mean, look, it's there's it doesn't matter why USD get converted is the wrong thing, right? If there's purchase power moving into the crypto space, because there's no conversion, there's no one that destroys dollars and creates Bitcoin, right? That doesn't happen. Every Bitcoin today is owned by someone. So this person swaps dollars with someone else. The only question is, whoever swaps receives the Bitcoin, what is this person going to do with the Bitcoins, right? And obviously, right now, there's more purchase power flowing into the system. And so, to me, obviously, it is relevant why there's more purchase power flowing into the system. But to be honest, it doesn't matter if this is because, I know, people think Bitcoin is going to go to 50,000, or because people just want to escape the banking system, or because people think there's more liquidity, or people are scared about hyperinflation, or people don't have a bank account, people don't have any other off ramps. At the end, as long as purchase power flows in, and this reason can be absolutely legitimate, it's going to be super bullish. And to me, I'm really like, I'm firmly of the belief I don't see anything else for the entire quarter. I still don't understand why crypto's up the entire Q1. I don't understand it. I can understand part of January just as a counter reaction, but even that part, looking at the data right now with all BUSD, I'm super dubious that this was any other reason other than BUSD being sold. And so as long as BUSD is around in such large quantities, I mean 7 billion, I think you have to be very careful believing that there's going to be a setback with this aggressiveness that it's being sold. And so, yeah. And so I mean, a lot of people really struggle with this idea of, or understand how this trade actually works, right? So, okay, there's three parties in all of this, or let's say four actually, but let's just focus on the key ones. So there's someone who has BUSD and would love to get out of BUSD. So this person wants to get out of BUSD. So by this person selling BUSD, that person pressures the BUSD price down to under one. That person doesn't have a principal account with Paxos, for example, doesn't get a principal account with Paxos, or doesn't have a bank account, right? And if you have just seen recently, for example, Binance US seems to be getting zero bank accounts, right? And this is public news. This just came out a couple of days ago. CC mentioned several times that Binance has been struggling with bank accounts, right? So again, I'm not saying Binance doesn't have a bank account. I don't know. I'm not Binance. However, I know how difficult it is for us, a company that's audited, does everything proper, getting a license, getting a bank account. I know how difficult that is, right? So alone that part shows me how tricky it must be for a company like Binance with all these allegations, with all the issues that are flying around. So I'm just assuming. So if I don't have a bank account, means and I don't have a principal account, I cannot convert BUSD one for one. So all I can do is I can sell it. Now I'm selling it, and this person sees, hey, BUSD is under a dollar. Let me buy that. And it doesn't matter if this person buys it with Bitcoin. It's irrelevant, because what this person does, this person cycles. This is an arbitrage trader. So you will have dozens of arbitrage traders, Wintermute or whoever. These are legitimate businesses that can track and trace everything. And all they're doing is they're buying discounted BUSD, exchanging it for dollars, using those dollars to buy more discounted USD. So they are price neutral for crypto because they are the ones who are arbitraging and cycling it. It's Binance or whoever is selling those BUSD, and obviously then not leaving whatever they are selling, that is pumping up the price. If they were selling into something else, right, then what are they selling into? They cannot be selling into another stablecoin because all stablecoin market cap is dropping. So the BUSD market cap, and you can see if you look at USDC and Tether, they normally really anti-correlate. BUSD is the one that's really the odd one out. And for those that are looking at all these, like they're tracking all this stuff, again, I don't know how legitimate this is. A lot of them are tracking it to Binance trading wallets. Yeah, so I don't know. But and then they're saying they're front running, or I actually have zero negative assumptions here. I want to be very clear. To me, I don't think Binance or CC is doing anything dodgy here. Again, I can be completely wrong. I give them 100% the benefit of the doubt here. I just think they were printing money over the past years. They had good risk management, which means they have part of their treasury in dollars. And since they are not going to have a bank account, they have their own dollars, BUSD. They have it in Bitcoin, they have it in ETH, they have it in BNB. And so now they're just scared about their dollar treasury and they just want to get rid of it. So I don't think there's anything dodgy in this. So yeah.
Maybe another questions from u-zyn chat. He asks, so 45K until the end of May. I'm always bullish. But
that is true. You should hear our like on our town hall updates, Fabio, I think every 2 minutes he has to remind everyone this is not financial advice. You can lose it all. The stuff he talks on Twitter is kindergarten level in comparison to how bullish he is when he does internal talks.
They made me use a legal disclaimer when every time I present something to the company, I need to use a legal disclaimer because I'm so bullish. No, really, it all depends on your time horizon, and of course, when you talk 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I'm unbelievably bullish. But I just try to manage my expectations, and historically, we are still 12 to 18 months away from a new bull cycle, and that we really go into the vicinity and into the direction of all-time highs. So I manage my expectations that before the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, I'm not expecting all-time highs. I love to be surprised, and like here in Q1, or I would love to see 45K sooner or all-time high sooner, of course, but I just try to manage my expectations. So I still feel we have 12 to 18 months of maybe a bit up, a bit down, a bit whatever, before we finally can leave the bear market behind. And just to address the questions, there is a few people asking about altcoins, DeFi or Ethereum. We will touch on Ethereum in just a bit, but in general, altcoins, they lag behind. So you have, this will be true as well. So 12 to 18 months until Bitcoin makes a new all-time high. And this is just historic data. And maybe to share some insight here, because a lot of people, for a lot of people, this is the first cycle. If you take any altcoin out of the top 10 from 2017, so let's just say Cardano, Ripple, and Stellar, which were like the three big ones in 2017, all of them lost around 95% measured in Bitcoin during a bear market. This is completely normal for an altcoin. But all of them kind of recovered, some better than other, after that. But the recovery, so if you open a chart on TradingView or on CoinMarketCap, you will see that these altcoins didn't do a lot in 2018, 2019, and 2020. But in November 2020, when Bitcoin was almost at an all-time high, they started to run. And, you know, this time is probably not going to be so different. So if you want to have an opinion on any altcoin, the only thing that you can judge these altcoins on are historical performance. So just go and look what happened last time. And instead of, when alt season on Twitter, just look how cycles or things performed before that. So I would say give it another 12 or 18 months. Perfect timing to do some dollar cost averaging. Now is the time to build positions and check back in 18 months. That would be my take.
Let's talk tomorrow. Couple of things. What do you want to start with? I think we can lump them together as two events. One is ETH unstaking, if everything goes well. The other one is general market, CPI, and Fed. What do we start with?
So, ETH. Let's start with ETH. No, I cannot see this being bullish in the short term. In the long term,
Can you explain why?
Just because there is it's not a lot of supply, but there are definitely people that there will be more selling than buying, just in my mind. But, and here comes the but, I've been wrong with several of these opinions in the past. So I thought, a hard fork on Ethereum, the merge is going to be bullish, or a hard fork of Cardano or something happening is a bullish event. And it wasn't. Like the Ethereum merge was bearish, the Cardano hard fork, it was buy the rumor, sell the news. And here, I don't know if it could be something similar, that people already sold off in anticipation of the event, and it could end up as a bullish event, which a few people on Twitter actually made the point, like Eric Wall, for example. He made a great point that usually people anticipate these things are bearish and then they're bullish instead, because the market really likes to mess with us. But just from a logical perspective and my personal assessment, I kind of would say that this is a bearish event, because there will be some ETH that are unlocked. Of course, you have the secondary markets, like Coinbase has one, we have one. But just to keep in mind, usually with a secondary market, you have a percentage point or 2 or 3 that you need to pay to unstake. So people are not really willing to unstake in a secondary market, and they also, some may not trust them. It's not very intuitive. So they kind of want to wait until Shapella is really integrated. And some of them have been on the Beacon chain for way more than 6 months. They staked or locked in their ETH way ahead of that time. And others, but I wouldn't expect massive volatility. But my expectation, if I would make a bet, is it's going to sell off over a period of maybe 7 days, slightly. So I'm going to just say, I don't know, maybe it's going to lose 8 to 10% or so, 5 to 10% against Bitcoin. But then at the end of April, I'm super excited about ETH Bitcoin. It depends a little bit on how it develops, but it's one of the charts that I'm following very, very closely. Because ETH had a correction against Bitcoin, but usually it, especially if we go into the next bull phase, ETH really starts to pick up and could be a very interesting trade.
Cool. Yeah, I'm completely aligned there. For users on Cake, just maybe also quick heads up there. you should see no disruption in the service when it comes to withdrawing. Initially, I mean, we need to wait until everything goes through or not. We expect it does. So initially, it's still going to be CSEs. You can then swap that automatically on the DEX. Once the upgrade goes through, we see the waiting period. I don't know what the wait list is. If that wait list is like a week or 2 weeks, we need to see. Then we as a company will look into actually providing that liquidity, so that that exit liquidity is provided to you as a customer, so then you have an easier time getting out instantly. And then we then do the unstaking so that you can exit faster. If that waitlist is months and months and months away, and we don't know, I mean, we need to see this, right? There's this entire calculation of total exits and like partial withdrawals is like an entire complicated process. How long is actually going to take? And yeah, then once the withdrawals happen, then the withdrawals will be routed natively onto the chain. CSEs will still be around, and it's going to be around for the foreseeable future. So yeah, in case there's ever any issues, we can always use that for withdrawals. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's key. But I'm aligned with you on the kind of price direction. Yeah.
What about macro, the macro events? I think what is CPI and minutes is tomorrow, or unemployment?
CPI numbers expected is 5% on the core inflation side. The reason why this is relevant, so core inflation always leaves out these seasonal kind of changes and leaves out those things like fuel and food that sometimes really kind of fluctuates a lot. So the idea is always once core inflation drops below interest rates, that's when you, as a central bank, should consider lowering interest rates, because otherwise you're really gonna drive this kind of way too far. You get a spread in there that's not good for the economy, because it gets too expensive for what you're kind of producing in the whole thing. So the the key idea in all this is that right now we're getting very close, right? So let's say we do get 5%. Some people are saying we're getting 5.2, some are saying 5.5, whatever, right? Interest rates right now are at around 5%, between 4.75 and 5%, right? So they are like there. So we're getting very close. So now it gets obviously very interesting. What's the Fed going to do in May? Are they actually going to lower, or are they just going to keep it? Some people are even saying now, I mean, if you look at the probabilities, CME probabilities actually say we're going to see another rate hike. It's very interesting, right? So the probability for a lowering in May is actually 0 right now, based on betting, right? So this is not experts on Twitter or on YouTube or something. That's purely people putting their money where their mouth is. And then we have the Fed meeting minutes from March, which was basically right after the banking crisis. And so the interesting part, obviously, is this all ties in with Friday, because Friday banks are reporting numbers for Q1. So it could easily be, right, that a lot of information is already shared, and some of the key decision makers kind of know about this stuff already. But it's going to be very interesting for the public to kind of see all those three things. So what do you see kind of coming out of this? Obviously, the market's definitely going to react to that, because if these numbers are absolutely fine, okay, then it may actually be that we're seeing another rate hike in May. If these numbers look a bit shaky, but inflation is actually dropping, it could even be that we're seeing a rate lowering in May, because the Fed says, hey, it's actually possible. So I don't know. What is your thoughts on all that?
Personally, I don't think that lowering is on the table. It's going to be hike or pause. That's just my assessment. And so I'm looking at the 40s and at the 70s, because these were the only two periods in history that we had double-digit inflation. And it's pretty interesting to follow along what happened there, because we had double-digit inflations in the 40s and in the 70s. The Fed increased their rates, and the inflation actually went negative afterwards. We had deflation, so negative inflation. But just so inflation could pick up again and go into the double digits again. And in one of the two periods, I'm actually not 100% sure which one it was, the 40s or the 70s, it did this thing one more time. So from double digits into negative and into double digits again. And a lot of people think, okay, the inflation, this was just like this one a wave of inflation, and now we hiked rates and it's going away and we will never have inflation again. Others will say, no, now we're going to have hyperinflation. And the truth, in my opinion, is somewhere in the middle. It's usually it's called the bullwhip effect. So you have high inflation, it cools down, and then it picks up again. The only thing that bothers me, which I'm not 100% sure how to judge this and what kind of influence that it has, is both in the 40s and both in the 70s, the US was in control of one of the most important commodity when it comes to inflation, which is oil. And now there is like this third party, I would call them OPEC Plus, which are all the oil producing countries, and a lot of trading that is not done in US dollar anymore in oil. If OPEC Plus increases the oil price, this of course has a big influence on inflation. So this is the third party. I cannot really judge what this is going to do. But I'm definitely I'm expecting inflation to drop even further. Maybe we're gonna see the 2% that the Fed promised during the summertime. But after that, I'm pretty sure that it will pick up again. That's at least my general expectation. I don't know how you feel about that, Julian. Do you think we're going to see the 2%? Is it even possible?
I mean, I do believe we're gonna see this. I belong to this group that thinks we're gonna see this fall off a cliff. I mean, I was wrong on the timing. I expected this to already happen at the beginning of the year. There were a lot of people. Elon Musk also said that he expects this deflationary trend way earlier. I don't know. I think this is gonna fall off a cliff. I really believe this. I don't know. To me, I'm someone like I think we are very similar in this regard, Fabio, where I just have this deep mistrust of the media, right? And I have this deep mistrust of statistics from especially governmental political agencies in today's day and age, right? So I think I just have this very deep mistrust. So that doesn't mean that I always think they're wrong. I'm not saying that. I just think that if one of these statistics or one of these data points comes out, right, and everyone says, oh, everything is fine, then but the first thing I try to do is I kind of look at, I mean, look, we have 170 employees in the company spread over, I don't know how many countries. I can see how they are. I can talk to them, right? And I can ask them, right? I can see, how are your friends? How's your family? How's everything going, right? And then I can feel what's what's going on there. I have a lot of friends all around the world, right? In the US, I have Republican friends, I have Democrat friends, right? I have friends that trend more left, I have friends that trend more right, I have friends that are very intellectual, I have people who are less intellectual, I have very wealthy friends, I have friends who are in the absolute middle class, right? Um and then I get a bit of a sense, and to me it's just weird, right? And I really have this right now, where it seems like everything is super well, everything is doing fine, but when I talk to people, how they really feel, it's like, yeah, we like not making much summer plans right now. Like we're gonna save it. Let's see Christmas. Maybe the situation improves. Yeah, rent is, it's. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna like move into something smaller. Yeah, I would love to sell my apartment. I would love to sell my house, but I cannot find buyers for it. So I'm not gonna sell it right now. I'm just gonna keep it on the market. So I don't know. To me, there's just a lot of people who are believing that it's gonna get better faster than I think it is, and they're hoping it, right? And I think the data and all this stuff misrepresents that. But if you actually talk to the people honestly, they're like, yeah, it's actually not going so well. And I just always feel that what happens to so many people, they kind of know what's really going on, and they just don't want to face reality. They're just not honest. And then they get carried away. They get carried away by the market. They get carried away by speculation. They get carried away by influencers. And I don't know. I just always try to see things as they are, not better, not worse. I try to stay intellectually honest. And I think it's very difficult sometimes. And yeah, it's just something to really kind of keep in mind. I mean, and then you see all these reports how everything is, oh, it's all gonna be fine, don't worry, right? And I don't know, I see a lot of people who feel differently, and then yeah, that just makes me very skeptical. Yeah. I mean, Farhad also writes here, rent in Turkey went up insanely. And we see this all around the world, right? So tell me, how are people suddenly having more money? How are people going to feel safer, right? Yes, I get it that jobs worldwide are at, like, job openings are historically high. We have very low uh, unemployment rate. But do you really think that all these tech companies that are letting people go, that these people are now taking jobs at, I don't know, a restaurant, or at, I don't know, at the cashier in a supermarket or something? Like, I don't know, there's hundreds of thousands of people that were let go. So what do you think? I don't know. Like, to me, this is not fungible, right? This is like, this a coin. One Bitcoin is not Ethereum. Yes, each is a coin, but that doesn't make them fungible, right? So I think that's the real key part. And the way the government tricks us is they just report all of this as one coin, as one job. It's not true, right? You would have to report it as, I don't know, salary, total salary that kind of got destroyed there, and then what are on the other side. And my bet would just be that you got billions of dollars in salary destroyed, and only a fraction is open right now of that. So yeah, and I just think that's key. Yeah. So yeah, to me, I actually think it's going to be quite neutral. I think Ethereum is going to see a bit of a downtrend, but I don't think it's going to be massive. So I have no, like, I'm not trading my Ethereum position right now because I don't think it's like strong enough. And obviously, I mean, you can have all kinds of things right now. I also don't think we're going to see much move in the market, because I think inflation is going to go just above on where interest rates are. So, like, I don't know, 5.2% or something. And people are like, yeah, it's it's good, but like, yeah. And I actually think the Fed is probably not going to raise rates. I really think so. I don't think they're going to raise rates in May. So if you're asking me about a tip that I have to make, then I would say they're not raising rates. They see the trend that everything is coming down. They're not going to get fooled. If you have to give one thing to Jay Powell over the last year, he has been staying on course. And I mean, in the last meeting, and I mean, okay, we're gonna see this tomorrow a bit in a minute. To be honest, how confident is he that we're gonna pause rate hikes? I mean, he insinuated it in the on the 22nd, but he wasn't like adamant about it. And in the past meetings, he was always like, "We're gonna have to go higher. We have to go higher. We have to go higher." People didn't believe him. Let's see. But yeah, but if someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I think we're gonna see 25 basis points up," I wouldn't call this person crazy, right? And I wouldn't, if someone says, "Oh, I think it's gonna stay stable in May," I don't think this person is crazy. I think if someone really says, "Oh, we're gonna go lower," ooh, I struggle with that. Unless, so the Friday one is going to be interesting. Unless Friday is really going to be disastrous and we're going to see another kind of consequence of sell-offs, but now really everything has kind of calmed down. So that's just how I see this a bit.
Yeah, I guess this week is going to be very crucial. Yeah, how the unemployment plays out, how good or bad things are with the banks revealing a lot of data. So I guess the timing. So the Fed minutes, of course, is just him talking a bit, and we will see some short-term volatility, but no real price impact. A little bit of a hint of what he's going to do, and then it's kind of the showdown in May where he's actually going to pause or hike or whatever, but without a credit event or any massive black swan that nobody can foresee, I don't see him lowering the rates. Yeah. And what does it, maybe we can segment into a bit of company specific updates. Yep. And company specific things.
Q1 for you, what sticks out if you reflect a bit on it, more from obviously the community side? Let's leave general markets away. Let's really focus on company stuff here.
So in my part of the business, I take care of community. I'm spending a lot of time on socials, and I have to say it was a very boring quarter. Where we usually see thousands of messages, we now see hundreds, and there is a general disinterest in the market. Of course, sometimes people come back to follow the hit stories. What was happening with Credit Suisse, or when the couple is coming back with another tweet, or what e-learning is up to. So you have these moments where there is general interest, especially if the price moves. But overall, it was a pretty boring quarter from social engagement side. We did have, so what was particularly exciting on a Cake side is we brought yield vault to market, and it is like a little bit of the next evolution of a true DeFi product. Um, uh, I don't want to explain the whole product, but what is exciting for me is that this is a product where you can actually earn a decent yield with no counterparty risk. So we brought that to market, which is definitely product on the product side is definitely was the highlight. For me, smaller highlights that maybe didn't made it to the broader public is we had our first AMAs in both German and English on Telegram. And this is a format I really enjoy. And we're going to do that a little bit more often. So we have these Twitter spaces here where Julian and me share a little bit of thoughts, what's happening in the market, what's happening at the company. But it's usually a bit one-sided. On Telegram, it's much more cozy. There's less people. And we also invite people to just hang out with us and ask a few questions if they want to. And we do that in specific languages. So if you want to join us, definitely come to the Telegram groups. We want to do this much more often. And we also want to do this in other languages like Turkish, which makes us gives us a stronger connection and deeper insights in what our community actually wants. I also felt that our VIP Telegram group, for everybody that has a VIP status within Cake, they are able to join a VIP Telegram group. And these groups, they're so I love them because there's no hate, no spam. The level of conversation is just a bit higher than what you currently see on Twitter and on Telegram because it's a bit of an exclusive place, and these are people that invested a decent amount of money, so I really enjoy these conversations in those groups. Other than that, I don't know. I'm going to pass the ball to you.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. Obviously, for me, always as the CEO, I focus on the company as a whole. We've had, I feel, I mean, we've been hiring, we've been growing. I'm really happy, and I mean, you're gonna see the transparency report. I think it's gonna come out on Thursday. Everything is ready. They just want to prepare everything so that it looks nice as a blog post and so on. And you can read all the details in there. So we've been growing. We've actually been hiring as a couple of crazy numbers, right? So on the HR side. So I think in Q1, we've received 5,000 CVs. Out of those 5,000, 400 job interviews were done. And Fabio and I were just talking actually before the call on all the craziness when it comes to job interviews. And then out of the 400 job interviews, we have hired 22 people in Q1. At the same time, we actually let go some due to performance issues, or I mean, we also had some people where they had to leave, or there was just some mutual ideas. What I'm really proud of, so we're now at 170 members at the beginning of the year, beginning of the quarter of Q2. We were 164 at the beginning of the year. That 171 is a different caliber as compared to the beginning of the year, and I definitely feel that. And that is always something when you grow as a company. It's not always about growing in quantity. It's always about also growing in quality. And I think we've done a really, really good job there. So I think that makes me really, really happy. And it makes me less eager having to add more people right now because there are so many great puzzle pieces. I think we're still like the target right now. So we're at 171. The target is to hire another about 20 people until the end of Q2. So we're still aggressively growing. Don't get me wrong, right? CakeDeFi.com/jobs. You're going to see all the open positions. And we're hiring on tech, on marketing, on ops, on all fronts. So I think that is the key thing. The other thing is we opened our KL office. So we now have 2 offices, one in Singapore, one in KL. And we're also looking into opening an office in Europe. However, this is only going to be possible once Mika is going to be ready, which should happen this month. And then let's see when it's going to go into effect. But then we would also love to have a European office. And that's going to be obviously very interesting because then we're close to our European customers there as well. So I think from a big picture, this was really relevant. I mean, financially, and obviously as a CEO, it is also relevant because I have to make sure the lights are on, everyone gets their salaries, and so on. Um, we have really recovered operationally. I mean, this was very easy with the prices going up. And obviously, I mean, we have recovered also a lot on the treasury in comparison to what we lost last year. We're nowhere close to all-time high in value there. I think that's also expected. I mean, Bitcoin is at 30,000, so we're down about what 60% or something from the all-time high, right? So we're not like, we're definitely nowhere close to all-time high, but I mean, it's super solid, right? And I feel this also. I mean, every Friday we do anonymous questions. Questions have changed during the quarter. Where last quarter in Q4 there was a lot of concerns on like what would we do, when would we do mass firings or whatever, right? And so there were a lot of concerns on that. And this quarter we didn't have that at all, right? So you can see also internally, like a lot of this kind of improved there. Um, yeah, so I think this is, I really see we're maturing as a company. Structure is getting better without, we still try to be super nimble, and I think we still do that. So I think that makes me really, really happy from a company standpoint. I mean, obviously, um, product wise, I feel especially second half of February and then March was like bam, 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 right? It was like Matic staking, EuroC, Yield Vault, Cake Elite, right? It was like bam, 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 bam. It was, I really felt it was that the team is doing so well now. Engineers, product, marketing, design, everything is so well kind of intertwined. And then, I mean, a lot of people are forgetting, right, that we have the enterprise side. Enterprise is completely ready. We are accepting customers. We only had the closed alpha so far, and now we're ready to go. So if you're a company institution who wants to have a custody solution, that's the way to go, right? So we had this other part, and then obviously we have the research and development arm with Birthday Research. Um, On-chain governance for DeFi chain, Quantum Bridge. Plan here is adding other blockchains as well, not only Ethereum. So that's going to be really, really powerful. Yeah, Meta chain. I mean, they just had a tech talk right now with Persona. So if you care about DeFi chain, then this is the stuff you should listen to as well, because there's yeah, really some exciting stuff going on, and also for Q2. And so I I really like I don't know, if you look at Coinbase, for example, right? I really would love to know. I mean, what are they launching new in a quarter? I don't know. I really would love to understand that, right? Are they launching new stuff, or are they just there as a company? And this is like, I'm not really nothing negative about Coinbase. I love Coinbase. I think they're doing a great job, right? I want to understand. And we are every week, we're launching new stuff, looking, I mean, we're looking at our launch calendar right now for Q2, right? And we have so many things. Like, we want to add more staking coins. We're going to revamp the app. We're actually working on it's a research and development project, right? That, like, we may not even launch it on the Cake brand. It may be a complete separate thing, right? We've been working on this as well. Working on new product lines on Cake as well, stuff we have done so much on the back end that take time to prepare and so on. So um, I actually yeah, it was really, I spoke many times to u-zyn also, where I said, hey, look, sometimes it really feels we are a mature company, and sometimes it feels we're like the super nimble startup. And I think that's the kind of
I
feeling
think
you want to have.
the best example, and probably I should have set this as a highlight from Q1, is I've been with the company since almost 3 years now, and back then we had less than 20 employees, and we were really, really fast from idea to implementation just within a few weeks. And we kind of in end of 2022 we somewhat lost that, like we got stuck into planning things. But then EuroC was the best example of us being nimble and startup-y, like I know the company. And I think it was from idea to implementation less than 2 weeks, or somewhere around 2 weeks, I would say. And I really love that, because we are, or we were, I think we still are, the first company that is offering yield on EuroC. And I think within the DeFi and Cake ecosystem, we are somewhere in between 5 and 10% of the total market cap of EuroC. that is locked up on Cake and in DeFi chain. And this is just because we were moving so fast and had this startup-y approach to it. And it was really, really fun to see that. There was some pushback from the team, but there was also a lot of excitement because a lot of us, we kind of needed to drop other things we were doing to focus on that. But I really liked that we did this with like this fast pace, and also our customers seem to really enjoy it. I haven't read a single negative feedback regarding EuroC.
No. So no, I'm really, really happy where we are. Team is solidifying, growing, maturing, staying nimble. I think that combination is really beautiful. So blog posts coming out on Thursday. Have a read. For those of you that are already Cake elites, you're going to be getting a nice email with some additional benefits that we're not publishing to the public at first, only internal. So for those of you that are Cake elites, next 24, 48 hours, stay tuned. And then, we are moving down the line in getting more and more ready for more and more features, more and more benefits. And then we're also going to bring it to the public, and we bring it later on. It's going to go to new joiners as well. But as I promised, people who join early going to get more benefits. We stick to that promise, and you're going to get to know stuff first. So yeah, check out Cake Elite if you're a Cake customer. And otherwise, Fabio, I don't know, anything else from your side? I think we mentioned everything.
I'm not sure if we are already allowed to maybe tease something for Q2 or Q3. Maybe.
I don't know what you want to tease there. Other than the staking coins, other than new app, maybe ready already for a completely new product line, but I want to keep that a bit more vague because maybe timeline is not going to be Q2, maybe it's going to be Q3 or something. So, but maybe I'm missing something.
No, I would have touched on those. So of course we said that in the transparency report of Q4 2022 as well, that we are looking at 1 or 2 handfuls of new ecosystems that we're going to integrate, and we are working on the next ecosystem, which we're going to share very, very soon. And I think it's going to be exciting because it has pretty a bigger market cap, or it belongs, let's say, to the top 20 without giving away anything. And the thing that I'm particularly excited about is we have a pretty fancy code word internally for the project, but we're going to revamp the app. And this is somewhere during the summertime, probably Q2, Q3, somewhere around that time frame. And it's super exciting. Like, I saw screenshots. The team is like asking us in the community, is asking customer support. The whole it's such a big collaboration effort. And for a lot of community members, the thing that is important to understand is, like, you are used to a certain speed that Cake is pushing out products. And you might have noticed that we slowed down a little bit in pushing out those products. And the important thing to understand, I guess, for a lot of our customers is it's because a lot of resources are allocated to this big project that is happening in the back end. Like, we're talking completely new app and everything that it should have been for quite a while. So it's probably the thing that I'm most excited for this year. Just that's the only thing that I want to tease our customers with.
Cool. Now it's good. Great. With that, let's see what tomorrow brings. Everyone, thank you so much for being with us on this journey. It's an wild ride. So let's keep cool, navigate the waters, and bake it till you make it. Thank you for taking control of your financial destiny with us. It's a pleasure. Fabio, thank you. Have a good week, everyone, and see you next week. Thank you, and bye.